The thing though is, when he asked me to marry him, I cried. I cried. I could see it coming. I was agitated. I didn't know what it was, but then I realized you knew this was coming. And I didn't have the heart to say no.
I was thrown out. Everybody always assumes that when you talk about an abusive marriage, that you left. I didn't have the courage to leave. Exactly. But I prayed that he would drive me. Every day, because I was drinking heavily, and I was living on Lexotan just to get 4 hours sleep. So I wanted him to drive me. It's not right to stay for the children. My eldest daughter, we had to do a lot of repair work because she had experienced it. I think she was about 10 when she started to steal in school. She'd have an apple in her bag and she would steal someone else's apple. She'd have 2 rulers, she'd steal a ruler. So the principal of school called me and said, "What's going on at home? She's picking things that she has in her bag." That's when I realized, and she couldn't say. So I broke down. And I think that's the first person I spoke to about it. And she says, "You need to get some help because she's picking up on it." But she wouldn't tell. Then she started to overeat. So she became really fat. So staying for the children was never an option because it was doing them more harm.
But you had to be kicked out.
Yes, but I had to be kicked out.
But it wasn't an easy thing, though.
No, not at all. Not at all, yes. Because I was a very good Christian sister. So divorce was not an option.
The Bible doesn't even say that divorce, divorce is open. The Bible doesn't say that divorce is open to you when you're being beaten. It just says cheating is the only reason, to say in the Bible. So it's natural for a Christian woman to actually just think that, you know what, if it's just beating, after all, the Bible didn't say so.
If it's just beating.
That's the way, I'm saying that that's the way some people have.
Even when you go for counseling in the church, a lot of times the church doesn't know how to handle it. So they tell you just manage. You know, you try and change like
some churches, like
try and pray, try and do your hand and do your leg.
If there's a demotion, there's a beating.
Or juju.
But it's just recently.
No, from time. If there's been a lie. No, like I told you, if there was a lie from the couple and they investigate that there was a lie. For example, you can find that, okay, actually it turns out that my husband actually prefers women. And he never told me. Or my husband said, you know, he told me he will love me forever and this and that person. That's lying. If there's a lie, it can be proven that there was a lie, then the marriage is not
really
because you really can't.
There's a committee that was
you really can't prove
and decide that they
don't have that.
No, but divorce. I divorced thee. So that's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true. I divorced thee.
Yes. It's no longer applicable.
That is not true.
Hey.
I can tell you that because it's not. What is I divorce you?
In the Quran, that's what they say.
Okay. Let's hear what.
Because there are stages. There are things you need to do. First of all, you are having an argument. First of all, you're allowed to divorce because there's even a chapter on it that tells you how to divorce. You can divorce. You divorce your wife, or your wife will divorce you.
Your wife can even divorce you.
Of course, understand, because even in Islam, the way you meet the woman is how you maintain her. If she's taking high-profile milk, you cannot give
I like that. So if I like to fix my nails.
And in Islam, as a woman, you're not nothing tells you to cook for your husband, no. But the Quran tells your husband to make sure you eat.
So he can cook for you.
Yes, the Quran, not even the hadith. Do you understand?
Is it the same Quran that...
It is. You see, the thing is that culture has gone into religion.
Yes,
a number of people have not even read the Quran before. They've only listened to what some imam or something have told them.
And imams are men.
People need to read the English Quran so you understand it. So that when someone is telling you something, you know whether that is the religion or what the culture
says. Yes.
So all this talk, you were saying something. What scares you?
To quickly touch on what she said about the children. No, I have a friend whose parents were in that type of marriage, and she was only 15 when she went to her mother and said, "If you die here, I will not cry for you." She said that to her mother.
Did her mother leave?
That's when her mother left. That's when her mother left, and she just poured her heart out. But one of the strongest things I believe, one of the things I believe is helpful is having a conversation. Because yes, you do start the way you intend to finish. But if we don't talk about what your expectations are, that's what relationships are. They're partnerships.
Let me stop you there. Because you're 34, for example, everybody's saying, go and bring Ashwebi. Maybe you will shelve the conversations because you just want to marry.
No.
So let me take a break and then come back to the conversation. About Ashwebi and time scam and why these young people are running away from marriage.
I'll tell you why they're running away from marriage.
You will tell me.
I will tell you, yes.
Well, while I know that conversations are important in marriage, I know that sometimes staying quiet might be the best answer. I mean, I remember getting married. One thing I was certain was that if it works, I stay. If it doesn't work, I go. But I was married to somebody who had a different, completely different mindset. And he says, look, this is forever. I say, huh? But he said it out of his own experience. He decided, I want a marriage that will last forever. But he worked for it. I did a lot of work on me. And I said it because I didn't want to do what my mom did. Just marry typical Benin man. He marry and finish. You know, the man go follow one. Father, blessed be your memory. Yes, but he did that to her. And I told myself I would never take it. And it was a conversation we had with my husband before we started. So when he says it's forever, I said, Yoruba's the own tonre, he's deceiving himself. But that's what has kept us going, because he made that effort, right? And sometimes you don't talk. You were talking about those conversations.
So one good thing that I think that marriage counseling did for my husband and I
was... Oh, you counseled?
We did marriage counseling.
You were sensible. How many people do marriage? Did you do counseling? You did counseling?
During the marriage or after?
Before the marriage.
Nowadays.
And then during the marriage as well, we did counseling.
What helped him, one of the things that the counselor said to us was, go away for a week and write down your expectations. Anything that comes to your mind, write it down. When we come for the next meeting, we're going to discuss it. It's amazing the type of things that you actually would put down.
What shocked you most? Your husband
said, I want you to stay slim after. And I said, do I know what to become of my body after I have children? What if I have a child now and I'm like this? And then you had to tell me. And I think that really helped us. Luckily for me, I'm with somebody that helps, that understands that, okay, this babe don't want to be stifled. So I'm lucky to be with somebody that lets me be me, that lets me, but we talked about it.
Did you write that about your expectations?
Yes, I wrote it. I wrote everything. It also gave me an idea of the things that I shouldn't kill myself over. So he's the kind of person that you don't have to be the one to cook. It's not that serious. So things that, I mean, it's true. He wrote those type of examples. So the typical things when you get married, you have to do this for your husband, you do this for your husband.
Tell me, did you frame that thing in case you have to refer to it?
We did. We emailed it to each other. So sometimes there are times that he has defaulted and I have defaulted as well.
So you bring it out and say,
you'd be like, babe, you said blah, blah, blah. And then we laugh about it and everything. But I think it helps put our future in perspective.
So that's the youngest marriage.
It has a name. It's called psychological contract. And even for people who work, there are things you expect from your employers, and there are things
that's
they
the
expect
HR
from you.
expert
and
speaking.
No, it's not even. It's just common sense. Honestly, it is. What it is that you know what the expectations are. You've verbalized it. And so you know. A lot of the time people don't, and that's why it's called a psychological contract. It's an expectation. When you have children, they expect you to feed them and clothe them and house them and send them to school. When you don't, you fail as a parent. And your children know, and they will respond likewise. But to even talk about marriage, one of the things we were talking about during the break was that people they don't want a marriage, they want a wedding, because it's very exciting. The whole wedding and party thing for a day. Haven't you seen marriages that broke after 2 years, after 2 days, after 1 week? Because it's really exciting, the hype. And do you know who came? And this is the person I want.
Okay, has this always been? Has this always been, or this is a new development, would you say?
It's new. It's very, because of all the...
right now, and so...
Very big.
It's been sold
to
hype
people.
Is so much. Even the parents catch the excitement. Sometimes the parents are even more excited than the children that are getting married.
I think it's always been.
Mothers have always, not to this degree, and I think everything has shifted to a different degree in this generation. Marriages in this generation, the things are different. Women have more freedom. When we talked about unmasking, we're all talking about being free to be who you want to be and what you want. That wasn't the case before. In the 60s.
But it's part of the problem today now, because men don't really, not all men want it. You have to understand, there are men who really don't want their wives to be everything that they can be.
Okay, but
find your kind.
Okay, let me hear these two turbaned women.
Can I shock you? A friend of mine was having challenges in her marriage after, I got a divorce. So her mom said to her, you can't leave. I think her husband had hit her a couple of times. You can't leave. So we said to her,
it's
why?
only 2 times.
No, a couple, So she said, it is better for you to be given a white envelope when your husband dies as a widow than for you to be divorced. And she said that she was 60-something. She said that and walked out. So we turned to each other and we looked and we said, probably in our mother's time, not every man died from natural causes.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
But there was no autopsy, so we don't know. She said it so easily and strolled out. Wow. So they could have put blood poison small just to teach the man.
Please.
I heard of that.
Slowly,
in the course of 2 years, poisoned her husband.
She's
Nigerian?
Nigerian.
Yes, it's better for you to have envelope.
You see it in cold
Cold-
case.
Yes.
But you see, nobody researched at that time. So our mothers that were widowed early were not very, especially if they had bad husbands, we're not very sure that the men just fell down and died.
Okay. I don't like this at all. The next time somebody dies,
No, but let me take us a bit back. I want to talk about the conversations, you know, and the conversations we're not having because a number of us don't want confrontations. That's why some conversations don't go
is it
on.
want or can't do well with
We
conversation?
can't do well.
Yes.
And I'm going to look at it for my own marriage. You know, my husband doesn't like things getting heated up.
Do you?
I like to deal with issues. I don't have to fight. I don't know how to fight, but I have to have a
face it,
conversation.
easy.
But he just feels as if everything is going to lead to a fight. All right? So what we do is, he just goes like, that's it, we're not having this conversation anymore. And in my mind, he's like, we have not even trashed this thing. I need to trash it to pieces so that you know exactly how I feel, so this thing will not repeat itself. So what happens? He gets up, he finds somewhere to go, and I take my phone and I start typing. So
Text or email
text,
or WhatsApp?
No, not email. WhatsApp, BB, whatever. So, and my husband, he likes to type. So, you know, we used to write, of course, love letters when we were dating, so he likes to write. So I'll write everything and he'll reply, and we will trash everything on BB. We will
Until
not
you see each other face to
By the
face.
time we see each other, everything is just so cool. So when we do fight a lot, but the thing is that we get to trash out everything. And I don't like to keep malice. I don't like to keep malice, and he knows. So we're having a fight, and I'm going about my thing. Oh, what do you want to eat? And he's doing his head like that. He doesn't mind keeping malice, but I can't. So I have to type it.
I want to go back to Ifoma here because Ifoma has. Did you say give your son away or give your daughter away? You have given your son.
My son has married somebody.
So, you know, she's in the new generation of, you know, before our own concerns was, I remember my father saying, Kai, so my grandchildren will be answering things like, Ikechuku. You know what I mean? My father is a Benin chief. You know what I mean? So now, I'm like, my kids have schooled, Kai, this child is going to bring one Italian man to my house. And you have where's your daughter-in-law from?
She's Scottish.
Oh my goodness.
But they live in England, I mean, they live in London. And my son never dated a Nigerian. Oh. That's the thing also. And I wonder sometimes whether it wasn't because of Nollywood. Because I remember, you're laughing. No, you remember?
Is that bad?
No, I'll tell you what happened. When they were in school and they'd come home on holidays, I remember they showed it it was on AIT that they were showing it all the time. And they'd watch it and think, if this is how these Nigerian women behave, I would not marry a Nigerian.
All those mother-in-law kind of things?
Those wives things, poisoning their husbands, going to juju man, all those things. Going to juju. So I said to them, but I'm your mom, and I'm Nigerian, and I'm not like that. But you never know, like you're talking about your daughter, you never know how things affect children.
Yes.
And that's why conversations between anybody, whether it's children and parents or mothers and fathers or husbands and wives, are so important. Yeah. We had that conversation, yes, but they were in school in England. And so inevitably, and they went to...
Inevitably,
they would meet a lot of...
Okay,
okay, when we talk about marriage, we focus a lot on the women.
Yeah.
But who are they marrying? Is one of my first questions. They're marrying men. Yeah. Now, the men of our generation were raised a little bit differently from the way we're raising our sons now.
Your generation or our generation?
The men that are getting married now were raised the same, do anything you like, sow your wild oats, everything. But we were told to cross your legs and
because she has only sons.
No, not she. Not how you're raising yours now.
Whose daughters?
Yes, but how our husbands were raised.
Yeah.
It was very permissive. They can do what they like, but we weren't allowed to do what we like. Now, the younger generation of women are not accepting that.
No.
So how do we solve that problem?
Challenge. Yes.
For me, sorry.
That's the younger ones.
I think that it's important for their expectations, like we said. It's important for the men and the women to discuss these expectations. It's important for there to be mentorship for both men and women. I'll give you an example. Disney, from the days of The Little Mermaid, Mulan, Tangled, Frozen...
To even Moana.
To Moana, were inspiring young girls and creating memorable, inspiring characters for girls. But in Moana, the man was a demigod who stole. Tangled, the man was a thief who kidnapped her. The parallels are there. So we're telling girls to be great, but we're telling them, and we're doing it till today. Nothing has changed. And I'll tell you why people are single. I'll tell you why many people are single. Because the women say, I cannot do this. And the men say, you have to. So someone said to me that, oh, don't worry, you're making shakara. Don't worry, you'll be 50 now, nobody will marry you. I say, I'm not complaining.
So the question is, if you were after the wedding, you would have been married?
Oh, yes, long time ago.
If you were after the wedding?
Yes.
You were after the marriage and the wedding, your conversations helped you to focus. It's 3 years, but it looks like it's going to go the whole hog.
Amen.
Because you're always going to go back to that paper.
Oh, yes, we did.
You were free with your kids. You made a decision of who you would marry, right?
Yes.
And you let them make their decisions as well.
Yes, but I prayed a lot about who they would marry. And I believe that our differences are part of our beauty that God created. They're not meant to divide us or separate us. And so for me, I could have married anybody. I could have married anybody, you know. And so I don't look at, oh, this person is white, this person is black, this person comes from here, this person comes from there. And, you know, I was telling you before this conversation that I married from close to home because my parents didn't care who I married, where they came from. They cared about who it was. In the same way, I care about who my children, who my sons marry.
Okay,
They're so well behaved, and that's what is
I wonder, though, how that will affect, having that kind of mindset will affect how successful the marriage would be. So I'll take a break. And I'll come back and have my final moments on conversations with these tough ladies.
Welcome back. Now, we've been talking about marriage in the 21st century, and as far as I'm concerned, nobody has any business getting married before they're 30 when they discover themselves. But that's my personal opinion, and Anne has a differing view.
I beg to differ because some people have discovered themselves before 25. People discover themselves at different
defending her
ages.
own name.
No, I'm actually defending people that, because when you say that, there's also a genuine fear in young women now. It's said, my husband teases and says all the time that not every woman will marry, which is the truth. But it's a fear, it's a genuine fear, not because you just want to get married. Sometimes we think of the future when you don't want to be lonely. You're thinking of the future. So this is what people, sometimes you want to do many other things, but you say, if I found somebody now, why wait till a particular time? What if at that point in time, I no longer see somebody? That's a genuine fear that women my age have faced. So that's the reason why I wouldn't necessarily say, I want to do so many things before I now marry the person that's available.
Okay, so I must stop you both, because the question is, the bottom line is, marry when when you found the person who's your friend. But if you're not married at 30, there's no big deal. There's no point rushing yourself and say, I must marry. But I don't know what you think, because again, when we marry, we're not just marrying one person, are we?
No, in the African context.
Yes, we're marrying the whole family. You're marrying the man and his family, you're marrying the man and his friends.
Is that right? Even though that's what happened?
It is, because he's marrying you and your family. Exactly. My husband is very close to my family, very, very close. He was even closer to my father than I was at the time. So you marry the family. But the thing is, I found out that a number of, if you look at when we talk, women that do not want to get married, they go like, oh, the mother-in-law, the sister-in-law, and all that. But you see, these are women. The average woman doesn't want her husband's family to have too much influence. But then you're grooming a son, right? And it's now time for the son to get married, and you are doing what you did not want your mother-in-law to do to you. You are doing it to your son's wife.
Are modern mothers-in-law doing that today?
They do it. They do it every day. Now, the sister-in-law that is in her own house, that is probably upset that her husband is doing stuff to her, goes to her brother's house to cause problem for her brother's wife. So the thing is, we women need to check ourselves.
Yes.
What you do not want your mother-in-law to do to you, don't do it to your son's wife. What you do not want your husband to do to you, don't go and do it to your brother's your brother's wife.
You were talking about family as well. Yes, you come from your ex-husband had a large family.
Well, my dad largely kept his family away from my mom, because they were a little bit abrupt. So right now, I don't have many uncles and aunts.
So the woman has to protect his wife.
So I wanted me, my husband, my kids. But my ex-husband's family wanted the whole hog, and there's a lot of us. We're about 35.
Different value systems.
So the thing is, I didn't mind so much. I didn't mind having a big family. But my ex-father-in-law was very old school. He would sit with his sons and not necessarily their wives. They did feel he needed to sit with us to maybe 8.
And that didn't resonate.
Yes, so I used to want my husband to say, I'd like to have my wife sit beside me, because when we're in our house, we used to be like that.
Our house.
Our own, me and him. You know, I wanted that.
The way you're in the family house is different.
It's different. So he had a different attitude when we were with his family. And different attitude when it was just both of us. And I couldn't deal with that, because I was the same whether in my house or out of my house. I wanted to have that respect that my father gave my mother, that she's untouchable. You may think she's a crazy person, but she's my crazy person.
But couldn't that have been negotiated? What do you think?
We did try.
Is this something that can be discussed before?
I actually think that it's up to the husband to protect his wife.
My dad was very good at it.
Because you see, if somebody, it's like if somebody comes to, my siblings can't come and complain about my husband to me, because I'm not going to listen to it.
Exactly.
I'm going to tell them, take it to him.
Abuse
and
direct.
similarly, his siblings can't complain about me to him, because you say, oh, okay, talk to her about it. And that's the way you keep them from interfering. But sometimes not everybody can do that.
Yes.
Not everybody can do that, because, you know, we all have different levels of ability when it comes to communicating and saying what's important. And we all have different levels of courage, and that's the truth.
But one thing I do know, that we all can write. We went to school.
Most of the problem.
Yes. What you've learned?
One of the biggest takeaways is I don't like confrontation. I'm the kid who would be pushed to the wall, and when I got that
You
far,
would find the hole in the wall.
I would destroy everything. No, I would, like when I got pushed, I would go overboard. So confrontation is not something I do well, but I like to talk about my feelings. But bringing it up, you know, that little thing, yes, also because I'm very sensitive.
I used to journal.
But I've learned now that I can actually have that conversation, even if it's texting or writing an email.
What I have learned is that I always use the nothing spoil matter, you know. What is spoil? What he has said doesn't remove anything from here. Sometimes I'm really boiling and my kids are like, why do you let him get away with so much? I said, you think about the bigger picture.
Yes.
If it doesn't affect the bigger picture, I forget it and let it go. So, but I mean, I just want us to quickly round up and say, what should anybody be taking away? I was to worry about marriages that are breaking up.
People need to learn how to talk, and if they can't talk, they should write. And I think it's such a great thing to say, I'd like to talk to you about something, but men are so frightened when you say you want to talk. It's just...
No, but so for that kind of man, you say, why don't you write it down, honey?
Is it because it happens at 2 a.m.?
No, it doesn't.
Okay,
For me, you know what I do?
Ladies, we must round up. So can we just go at your
I
final?
just want write. Just write. BB, WhatsApp, write everything down.
Or just speak it. You know, honey, I feel like...
Whatever. Pass the message, because confrontation sometimes gets heated up, then body language. But if you're typing, nobody sees that you're saying, stupid boy. Because, nobody sees all that. And you mean it.
Okay, so do you think you ever get married again?
No.
Oh, for now. Never say never.
Well, ask me again when I'm 60.
She's very sure. Don't mind her.
She will, actually.
And you, sweetheart, final word?
Oh, well, I've learned from my egbons that forgiveness goes a long way. I've also learned that it's very important to speak up. It's very important to... I've learned from my own marriage too that sometimes when it comes to dealing with the other family or the external or the extended family, maybe you should come. My husband and have an agreement. When is my family? Talk to me. I'll handle it.
Just like
when is your family? Also, if it's my family that my husband has, I'll try to be the one to mediate, just so that at the end of the day, we're all still a family.
You must have one.
Yes. I think for me, this is more of an observation.
After all, you're not married yet.
After all, I'm not married yet. But I think that, I think at my age, I can speak on marriage, even though I'm not married. I think so, because I've been around so many married people. But one of the things I want to say is that we're not tolerant enough. Our generation of people, we're not tolerant, yes, and that's why our parents may have gone through some really difficult things, but I think that staying power, you know, and when your life is threatened, it'll go away, but generally...
Let's be tolerant, because the truth is, growing old together can be beautiful, right?
Yes.
It's beautiful. Then you can stay quiet together for 1 whole hour, and you're not worried about, what are you thinking about, honey? I mean, I'm sometimes on my space. You can even move to Madame room. My husband keeps saying, you are going to Madame room today. We've been to Madame room.
But you know, the thing is that we all change.
Yes,
we are
I know.
all growing.
So that's what I'm saying, you're going to get
when
there.
I met my husband
Yeah.
are very different. I've outgrown some things, and the things I used to make a fuss about, we just laugh about it.
Okay,
So
when I stand... The show is over. Thank you all for being with me, my girls. Thank you. I must go, but it's never, the conversation doesn't finish. We're going to continue this on Twitter and all of those things that these young girls know.
Instagram.
But in the meantime, we gotta go.
Twitter.
Snapchat.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.